Look how they massacred my boy.
I would have loved to be the fly on the wall in the meeting in which Joss Whedon was given control of Justice League, because I can picture big smiles and greedy gazes all around thinking that Warner Brothers was finally going to make $1 billion that they had been dreaming about since Man of Steel. We all know in retrospect that this was one of the biggest mistakes any studio could make, and I'm very happy that they made it. You see, after the release of Man of Steel and BVS, many people were complaining that the DC movies were dark and they wanted something bright. Well, in addition to a bunch of issues that Whedon brought to this film, a clearer and brighter palette was finally given to these fans, and it's fair to say that they absolutely hated it. Most of these people all of a sudden realized that you just can't take another person's vision, add some contrast, and voila, you have yourself a Marvel film. It would be the equivalent of using Mercedes-Benz engine parts to fix a Nissan Micra. You know it's going to be an epic fail and it will blow up in your face. And when it comes to this movie, this is what happened, and I am super glad that it failed as hard as it did. The failure here is what allowed Snyder to finally show his original vision, and for that I will forever be grateful. So thank you Joss Whedon for failing so hard. Now let's get into this. There was once a time that Hollywood had a love affair with Whedon, but like all relationships, it tends to end. This can be through a breakup or the more permanent death, and in Whedon's case it's the former. But before the man was cancelled, he could do no wrong, and to most studios, he was Jesus Christ himself. I never fully watched Buffy the series. I caught a few episodes and I got the gist of it. It was a supernatural show in the vein of Charmed, except it was with vampires and witches instead of just witches. I watched the original movie and it was kind of shit, and as far as I'm concerned, that's my involvement with Buffy. I grew up in the era of True Blood, and if I'm going to watch vampires, I would like to see some blood and some sex, but that's just me I guess. But given the fact that Whedon could expand on the movie into a series that most people love, I will admit that he has talent. In 2011, Joss Whedon was brought in by Disney to helm their event movie The Avengers, which would be released in 2012. Avengers became the event that was promised, and it opened to rave reviews and love from the general public. It's fair to say that the movie made obscure Marvel characters household names, and the box office returns were exceptional, making it the highest grossing film of the year with $1.5 billion. Whedon will replicate the same success in 2015 with Avengers Age of Ultron, making $1.4 billion for Marvel. But this time, the reception would not be as before, as the novelty had worn off. The highest grossing film of that year would be Star Wars The Force Awakens with over $2 billion in the box office. And as a side note, this was the peak of Disney's Star Wars, but I digress. Now I have already discussed what went wrong with BVS in my previous video, and I will not go into that here. But it's fair to say that Snyder was under extreme pressure for not meeting studio expectations. Around this time, Jeff Johns and John Berg were made the co-heads of DC Studios, and Snyder's vision for Justice League was already being compromised. There were plans for a Batman film directed by Ben Affleck, but this would get cancelled. On May 12, 2017, tragedy would strike for the Snyder household with the loss of his daughter Autumn Snyder. Zack would step away from production to mourn, and at this point in time is when Jeff Johns would get Joss Whedon to come in and finish production. You see, the main point of consideration for Jeff Johns was never artistic merit. To him, it was all about box office and the illusionary $1 billion, hence the reason he got Joss Whedon. I am guessing he thought that his good reputation at the time would rub off on Warner Studios. The fucking irony of that statement just makes me laugh. Jeff Johns wanted a 2-hour runtime, a much lighter color palette, and a new witty dialogue courtesy of Mr. Whedon. He felt that was all that was required to marvelize the Justice League film. I can't express to you how fucking stupid a thought process that is, as the original movie had been completely shot. Jeff Johns had forgotten that his own shitty attempt at a superhero film, The Green Lantern, had all these elements, yet still failed miserably. This might feel like a snipe, but if Jeff Johns could have started a movie universe, he would have done that in 2011. Now, Mr. Whedon had his marching orders, and to make them a reality, he decided to reshoot extra scenes to be incorporated into Snyder's vision. This was the act that opened Pandora's box. For you see, all actors involved in Justice League had moved on to different projects after they had finished filming. Calling them back for the contractually mandated reshoots was never going to be a smooth process. First off, Cavill was filming Mission Impossible Fallout at this time, and had grown a very impressive mustache for his character in that film. Paramount liked it, and he was not allowed to shave for his reshoots. CGI would be used to give him that clean-shaven look for the film release, and if you have seen the memes, then you know that it was a stupid idea. Ben Affleck himself had put on some decent muscle for his role as Batman in BVS and Snyder's Justice League. When he was brought back for reshoots, however, he had put on some noticeable weight due to a myriad of factors. Affleck was going through a divorce with his then wife Jennifer Garner, and he had been using alcohol to cope. This had led to a full-blown alcohol addiction, which was responsible for his noticeable weight gain during the reshoots. Affleck would get help in 2017 and has since made a recovery. Gal Gadot was 5 months pregnant during the reshoots for the Justice League. To conceal her pregnancy during the filming, The filmmakers employed various techniques including using a green screen on her stomach and strategically cutting and editing the costume. This also meant that CGI would be required to fix these tweaks in post-production, which would further add to the budget. Ezra Miller at the time was filming for the movie Fantastic Beasts, and he would make it for the Whedon reshoots. He would come out relatively unscathed in this film. The main issue for the reshoots was with Whedon and Ray Fisher. Ray Fisher's role of Cyborg would be heavily cut down by Whedon in order to make the 2 hours arbitrary time allowance. To make up for this, crucial dialogue would be written for Affleck and Gadot to deliver, which was meant to serve the same purpose. According to Whedon, this was agreed with Fisher beforehand, but given what happened after filming, who knows what the truth is. On June 2020, Fisher accused Whedon of gross abusive, unprofessional and completely unacceptable behavior, including allegedly altering an actor's complexion in post-production due to skin tone. This would be denied by Whedon, but the accusations will open the floodgates. A variety of people, including Gal Gadot, will come out with their own accusation of Whedon's conduct, which would continue to snowball. Eventually, all of Whedon's professional relationship will be affected, leading to his exclusion from the world of Hollywood. Whedon's Justice League was released on November 2017, and I am glad I didn't go to the cinemas to support this trash. I waited for it to be released on the home media, and I went to the high seas and pirated it. But I am happy to report that the outrage surrounding this dumpster fire of a film is all accurate. I fucking hate this movie. Every fiber of my being curses the very day that put pen to paper that brought this fucking thing into existence.
Jesus Christ.
This movie feels generic and incompetent. I have not felt such a feeling watching any comic book movie in recent memory except with the early 2000s. I am talking Daredevil 2003, X-Men The Last Stand, and Elektra 2005. Everything that made the DC films unique had been stripped out, and there is no personality to be found anywhere. It's bland, looks like shit, and you can most definitely tell that this was butchered work. It is the equivalent of going to a fine dining establishment for a steak, looking to eat some fresh succulent meat, and instead you are presented with microwave steak and it's dry, hard and fucking crusty. And oh, it tastes like absolute shit, yet they expect you to pay full price because it came on a plate. Due to the well-lit production, the costumes absolutely look like trash. Gone is the artistic vision of Snyder with the careful mix of post-production to enhance the costumes. Present is the feeling that you are only watching some adult people wear high-budget superhero costumes made for Comic-Con. And you also get the strong feeling that none of them want to be there. The movie is full of jokes and witty dialogue, but I never found myself laughing at any jokes nor the dialogue engaging. I kept getting flashbacks to 2011 Green Lantern, and I needed to rewatch Deadpool afterwards to cleanse my palate. I found myself laughing at moments that were supposed to invoke a sense of worry in me, like the shoehorned Russian family choosing to live in a wasteland instead of with people. Moments that were filmed for Cavill to, in their own words, feel like Superman, instead came off like horror movie skits, with the clean-shaven applied CGI launching a million memes. You know the thing about using dialogue to fill for crucial scenes that will flesh out the story? Well, it doesn't fucking work. I have made this point before and I will stress it until Kingdom Come. Film is show don't tell. Cyborg in this film feels tacked on at best and completely unnecessary at worst, and it's a damn shame because he was meant to be the heart of the fucking team. The movie also makes a coward of Flash, and I seriously hated every fucking scene that he was in. Even casual readers of comics know that Barry Allen is one of the most important and courageous members of the Justice League. I understand why you think such a pivotal character should be humanized, but it doesn't work. The Flash had built his own suit and been exploring his own abilities and had been shown in previous scenes to save people already. Why would such a person need Batman to tell him save one? Fuck this movie. And let's address the defense that fans of this movie use. Oh, it has good action scenes. Well, I'm sorry to tell you that the best action scenes in these movies are all retrofits from Snyder's vision. They have been chopped up and the context has been removed to make it work, but it's still Snyder's vision. Please save the excuses for when you meet Joss Whedon in real life because I don't want to fucking hear it. And as a side note, beginning the film with the homeless man's cardboard saying, "I tried my best" is a fucking dick move. You took over a production like a vulture and you here to make excuses. If you couldn't do it, you should have left it alone and things would have handled itself. But you didn't and you gave us this trash. So it's on you, Mr. Whedon. It's on you. Trying to turn a film universe constructed to mimic myths and mythology into a conveyor belt Marvel film was never going to work. But sometimes, studios need to learn the hard way. I am a fan of anime, comic and films, and I consider myself lucky that I live in a time where these things are getting funding and more are being produced. My only mistrust is in the studios that fund these projects, because to them, it's all income and revenue and losses and liabilities. But I do hope this never happens again because I wouldn't wish this on anybody. Until next time, I'll be celebrating the triumph of Zack Snyder's Justice League. I'll see you then.